Hey, sweetheart. I'm your Brooklyn mom, and I understand you wanted me to come back, yeah? That's so nice of you, oh my god. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. Things got really busy with the pandemic and trying to get all the shots, but things started to calm down, and I think I got some time to do a little video for you. Today, we're going to do a brief look at Fallout 76.
All of this just works.
The game was released in November of 2018, and sweetheart, it was a damn mess. Even before the release, there was like a 2 week beta period where you could play it a bit if you pre ordered, and I gotta tell you, it wasn't good. There were nonstop bugs and glitches, issues with the voice chat, social menus weren't working right, quests weren't finishing. I could go on and on and on. In fact, if you want to kill a couple of hours, go watch Joseph Anderson's 1001 Glitches of Fallout 76 video. That'll keep you occupied for a while. I'll put a link in the down there part for you. We're not even going to get into the things like the Nuka Dark debacle or the awful nylon bags Bethesda sent out instead of the canvas ones. It was just a complete train wreck from the beginning, okay? Well, it's 2021 now, and it's been almost 3 years since the game's been released. I'm going to take a look at some of the major game changes and what I like and dislike, so let's start from there, okay? The biggest change is the addition of NPCs and dialogue. Originally, the game was sold on the premise that every person you'd meet in Appalachia was a real person. Unfortunately, that didn't work out very well because, as it turns out, most people don't want to be side characters in a game they paid $60+ for, yeah? Additionally, for me at least, the environment felt absolutely dead and morbid. Now, okay, so yeah, normally this is fitting for a world that survived the first 20-25 years of the apocalypse, but in a modern Fallout title, it just doesn't work. Holotapes of survivors and people in factions who just so happen to die right before the vault opens is a bit of a narrative cock tease that Bethesda really didn't pull off. I wanted to meet those people, work with or work against them, and be part of this larger world. It also didn't help that voice chat, like I said earlier, was pretty borked at first. People couldn't turn it off or turn it on, and of course they were trolls and assholes, and text chat wasn't a thing that was available. Since the release of the Wastelanders expansion in 2019, however, a lot of these issues have been resolved. The world feels much more lived in and lively, with villages and small towns being built by NPCs. You can go exploring anywhere, and there's a good chance to run into raiders, scavengers, or regular old folks looking to settle down. Some of them even give you map locations or will let you trade with them. Going to places like Flatwoods, for example, was a depressing start to the early game, with skeletons and holotapes of dead folk everywhere, but an NPC roams around now with a doge, who presumably cleaned up the bodies of both of them, and it makes it feel more welcoming. This was a big change that the game desperately needed, and for the most part it largely works. They've been slowly adding in more in-game storylines as well. Their big focus right now is on the Brotherhood of Steel, so if that's your jam, you should have a little more to do. One thing though, there's still no text chat though, Bethesda, and that's ridiculous. Even putting aside folks who might be shy and might not want to use voice chat, this is an accessibility issue for folks who are deaf or hard of hearing. There is a mod that you can install made by Leela that lets you use text chat, but of course it relies on other folks having it installed as well. Fix your shit, Bethesda, because this is embarrassing. So next up, I want to talk about seasons and scoreboards. One of the biggest things that burns me out in MMOs in general is the lack of things to do once you hit the endgame content. There wasn't a lot of incentive at first to keep going back and playing 76 after you hit the main story beats because you just did everything. That's changed a bit with seasons and scoreboards. So for a couple of months or so, the game features seasons, usually with like this in-game universe related theme. As of this recording, we're in season 4, and the theme is Armor Ace and the Power Patrol and Cold Steel. So this feature works similar to a battle pass mechanic in other games. This gives players repeatable daily and weekly tasks, which in turn allows them to unlock up to 100 rewards. These rewards can be found on the season's scoreboard, found in the menu of the game. Usually these can include anything from pretty mundane stuff like bubblegum or perk packs for your character, but you can also unlock things like camp items, outfits, atoms, caps, and whatever, depending on where they are on the scoreboard, called ranks. While you can unlock these with atoms, the game's virtual currency, more on that in a minute, you could do everything in-game without paying in return for playing a little every day and doing some generally easy tasks. It's not a bad incentive to play, and I find myself trying to get those rewards that interest me if I can. You can see that I'm not very good at this, though. Your mother just kind of does her own thing. So let's take a moment to talk about the big divider in the community, the atomic shop. Let's make no bones about this one, it kinda sucks. Originally, it was meant to be cosmetic items only, so outfits, weapon and armor skins, stuff for your camp, emotes, things like that. A little shady maybe, but nothing too out there. I get it, a company can't sustain a game on your $60 alone, and it's all totally optional. Fine. Then came the utility items. Oh boy. So in a nutshell, there's repair kits and scrap kits that you can purchase. These let you repair your weapons and armor or scrap your junk, respectively. Bethesda insists that these don't give folks advantages, but that's a load of crap. In a game that gives you limited carrying capacity and requires items to repair your stuff, and sometimes these are very hard to find items, it puts you a little ahead of the rest of the folks who otherwise have to trek all the way to a bench to repair their shit or drop their junk off in a stash box. In other words, it's more time for playing and less time for what's essentially maintenance. That might not make a huge difference in PvE, but if you're playing in PvP, that's going to give you some advantage over someone who can't repair their stuff on the fly. I'd argue that's a little disingenuous to offer these kinds of things and then claim that it's not advantageous in some way. You see what I'm saying? That's not even counting something like Fallout First. If you thought the Atomic Shop was bad, Fallout First really split the community. So Fallout First is a paid subscription service for the game. On top of the 60 or so bucks that you may have paid for the game up front, or if you waited a couple of months and got it cheaper, you could choose to pay $12.99 monthly or $99.99 annually for the service. What's it get you? Private Worlds service that you can play on with 7 friends, 1,650 atoms per month, exclusive cosmetics and items from the Atomic Shop, a scrap box, and a survival tent. It's a lot for your money, but let's take a step back and talk about why this is still pretty contentious. First, the scrap box is separate from your stash box in camp. It lets you hold an unlimited amount of scrap. This is in comparison to the scrap box, which, as of this recording, lets you store 1,200 pounds total of anything. This puts non-subscription players at an immediate disadvantage for repairing their items and building up their camps, as they have to pick and choose what scrap to keep. The survival tent was also a bit of a slap to the face. You can deploy it anywhere in the world without paying caps to use it, and it comes with a stash box, scrap box, sleeping bag, cooking station, and banjo, which is pretty much everything you need in this game for buffs and storage, yeah? Your normal camp costs caps to move, so again, this gives paying players an advantage in that they can essentially travel around the map for free if they do it pretty smartly, yeah? These might seem like minor criticisms, but it's important to recognize that Bethesda is being disingenuous when they say that these things don't give advantages. They absolutely do. Finally, one last gripe that I really gotta get off my chest, and that's the theme of the game. The Fallout series has always been about the horrors of the atomic bomb, yeah? The social, mental, physical, and environmental destruction that unchecked capitalism and consumer culture cause, the need for community and perseverance in the face of complete disaster, things like that. Not only are the paid mechanics sort of a slap to these themes, but the in-game narrative is too. So, there's spoilers for the in-game content here. Skip to this time code if you want to avoid it, sweetheart. So you go through your adventure, and you make it all the way to a bunker where you have to launch a nuke to get rid of the Scorch Beast Queen. Do you believe this? If you want to beat the endgame and complete the quest, you have to launch the nuke. There's no other way around this, no alternatives, no pacifist ending. You launch the nuke, or you have that quest and you Pip-Boy forever. And it just makes me think, did I play the same series Bethesda did? This sort of flies in the face of the narrative of what Fallout stands for. And look, I get it. It's visually appealing, it's high stakes, you gotta defeat the Scorch threat, yada yada, but it doesn't make any sense narratively. The game even comments on this if you get one of the Overseer's journals, where she calls you and your fellow 76ers out in your blatant disregards of nuke use.
I had a directive from Vault-Tec. Secure the region's 3 nuclear missile silos. We had to make sure they didn't fall into the wrong hands. I knew I couldn't do it alone, so I asked you, my Vault 76 family, for help. And what did you do? My God, why? How could you do this? We were supposed to take control of the nukes, not engage in an Appalachian arms race. Please, stop this madness. The cycle of destruction has to stop!
So what's the point? If it's to aggravate the piss out of me, congratulations, Bethesda, you did it. I'm so disappointed. One thing I'll give this game, though, and that's the community that sprung up around it. The big reason that your mother goes back to the game is because of all the super fucking cool people I met while playing. There's streamers like Wasteland Medic and the United Wastelanders Network, podcasts like that Fallout show, the Fallout feed, the Fallout Hub, Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, groups like Nuka Girls, Filthy Casuals, the Robots Radio Network, in-game factions that people have made like the Fallout 5.0 New Responders, the Order of the Lamp, the Vultures. I can go on and on and on. The point is that the people in the community are what make the game. In all of your mother's years of gaming, I've never seen a more positive and supportive community around it. It's unbelievable how awesome these folks are. Your mother's usually pretty busy and can't keep up with all of them as much as she'd like to, but they're what keep her coming back. The community that sprung up around the game is just wonderful. If you need one reason to come and play, it'd be for the folks that you could encounter in me. So, look, I know I did a lot of griping here, but at the end of the day, I keep coming back to the game when I have some free time. There's a lot that still needs improvement, but I gotta give credit where it's due and applaud Bethesda for getting things right with Wastelanders and implementation of seasons. Should they have done some of this stuff from the get-go? Yeah, you bet. But I'm hoping they learned something here with all this and continue to put their best foot forward. So if you're asking yourself if you should give the game a try, I'd say go for it. But don't go spending $60 for it is all I'm saying. Watch a couple of streamers or YouTubers to get a feel for the game, see if you'd like it, make your own decisions. Now, if you have the game and haven't played in a while, go back and do it, sweetheart. It's almost an entirely different game, and I think you'll have a good time. Just keep in mind what I said, yeah? Alright, that's gonna be it for me for the time being. I hope you liked this video and you got something good out of it. I gotta do my calls to actions because of the algorithms from the YouTubes, so if you get a kick from this, give me the likes and the subscriptions, leave a comment below, whatever. As a matter of fact, let me ask you, what game should I look at next? Let me know in the down there thing, okay? I also want to take a moment to thank my lovely patrons for supporting me. Your support helps me make these videos. If you'd like to throw a couple of bucks my way, check out my Patreon in the down there part, or leave me a one-time tip on PayPal. But please don't feel obligated to do any of those things, yeah? Alright, sweetheart, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye!